Hello, and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our tiny gift box jack-o'-lantern add-on. This die is a perfect addition to the tiny gift box and it helps you turn it into the most adorable little jack-o'-lantern. So let's go ahead and check it out. Here is a look at the pieces included in this set. You have the jack-o'-lantern face, we have the sides of the box and then the back. We have a backer piece for behind the face. We have a really cute three-dimensional stem and some leaves and vines as well. The first thing we need to do to create this jack-o'-lantern is to die cut the tiny gift box. And we're going to die cut it here from some canned pumpkin cardstock. The die creates all of these score lines for you, so we're going to fold along all of those score lines. And the tiny gift box is so cute and so sweet, and what I love about it is that we have all these different add-ons, the cutest little critters, and now of course we have this fun jack-o'-lantern. Now that we've folded all the score lines, we're going to add some 1/4-inch double-sided tape to the tabs there on the outside, and you'll end up adding it onto 4 tabs. Then what we're going to do is peel up the liner paper, and then we're going to fold those pieces up, creating the box. And you'll see that they're all going to form these like little right angles with each other. So you're just going to push that right up like that, and then you'll line up the tab and just press on the insides to secure it. And we're going to do that with all 4 of the tabs. So we're going to line up the edges just like that and secure it in place. And this is really quick and easy to do. And once the box is formed, you can tuck in the lid just like that, and you could put little treats inside, which is so much fun. So to start adding the jack-o'-lantern on, what we're going to do is add some liquid glue to the back of the face, and then we're going to add that backer piece, and that's going to give us that really cute jack-o'-lantern look. Then we can add some tape runner to the back of that piece and add that to the front of our box. Next, we're going to add the back piece, which is going to line up right with that little notch, and then we can go ahead and add the side pieces as well. Now you can see that cute little jack-o'-lantern is starting to form. Our next step is to start working on the stem. So that's the base of the stem, and we're going to add that to the top of the box. And now we're going to fold along all of those tiny little score lines that the die has created for us on this piece. And that's what's going to help us form this cool little three-dimensional stem. And so you'll see this piece is pretty tiny, so you'll just slowly move your way down the folds, creasing them kind of with your fingernails. And so we'll do that. Then we're going to use some liquid glue to adhere this all together. So we're going to add some glue from the glue tube there onto those little tiny tabs, onto the back of that tab, and we're also going to add some to the side tab as well that's going to get tucked in. And we're going to work on the bottom part of this stem first. And I definitely recommend liquid glue because this is a three-dimensional object and you're definitely going to want it to kind of hold in place. It's really tiny, so there's a lot of pressure on it. So by doing that liquid glue, kind of holding it there until it dries, it's going to make the whole stem really sturdy. Once we get that bottom piece dry, we can work on the top. In the top there, you'll see there's just those little tabs, and we're going to be able to add some liquid glue to those and then hold those in place so that they're nice and solid and you get this cute little three-dimensional stem. Then we'll keep holding that until it's completely dry, and then we can add some liquid glue to the bottom stem and add it to the top of the jack-o'-lantern. And to me, this stem is what makes this whole thing so darn cute. I just love it. I have to tell you, the first one we made of these, my son, who's 2, he already took it and it's his new toy. He just loves this little jack-o'-lantern so much. So now we're going to add the cute little vines to the top, and we're also going to add the leaves, and those are so much fun to add on and just add a nice pop of green. And now this jack-o'-lantern is all done, and look how cute this little box is. He'll look so cute with our other Halloween-themed tiny gift boxes. He's the perfect little treat holder. I think candy corn inside of this would be absolutely perfect. So next, we were inspired by Elena from the design team to take a look at our pattern paper stash and find some orange pattern paper. And these jack-o'-lanterns are so cute out of pattern paper. They're cute out of the cardstock as well, but oh my goodness, out of the pattern paper, they're just adorable. So we're going to be die cutting those same pieces, the jack-o'-lantern pieces and the tiny gift box, out of this beautiful orange argyle. Then we're going to go ahead and fold along all of the score lines that the tiny gift box die has created for us. Then just like before, we're going to take the 1/4-inch double-sided adhesive and we're going to add it to all 4 of those tabs. Once we have that on there, we can peel up the liner paper and start to line up the edges of the box, and you'll see the box start to form. We'll attach all 4 tabs, and then we can tuck in the little tab and our box has been created. Next, we'll add the backer piece behind the face panel, and we'll start to add the panels to the box. First, we'll start with the face, then we can add the side panels, and then the one for the back, which is the one that has that little notch. Now we're going to work on my favorite part, which is that stem. So we've die cut the stem pieces and all the little vines as well out of some chocolate bar cardstock. And we're going to fold along all of those little score lines on the stem piece. Next, we're going to add liquid glue to those little tabs. And you'll see we're adding it to the outside of those tabs, just like that. And we're actually going to form the whole thing all at once. So we're going to kind of wrap it around in a circle, and then you'll see those tabs line up. And then we have the inside pieces. And we can do the same thing for the top. We'll put the inside tabs and then the outside one, and then we can hold it in place to dry. Once it's dry, we can add it to that little stem base piece, which is just so cute. I just love this so much. And then we'll add a little more liquid glue to the back, and we can layer that onto the top of the box. We're going to add some of those little vines, but this time we're going to have the vines be out of the chocolate bar. And then for a pop of color, we're going to die cut the leaves from some cilantro cardstock, and we're going to layer those onto the top of the box. And oh my goodness, is this little guy so cute or what? There's something about that pattern paper on him that's just adorable. And you could imagine that you could die cut this out of a bunch of different shades of orange cardstock, out of a bunch of different orange pattern papers, and have them all lined up on your mantle. And it would be so cute for Halloween. So next up, we are going to be creating something inspired by Kara and the design team. And she turned this jack-o'-lantern into an actual light, and it was so cute. We just had to try it. So here we have our tiny gift box, and we've die cut that out of some canned pumpkin cardstock. And we're going to take that backer piece that's normally to create the piece that goes behind the jack-o'-lantern's face. We're going to actually use that to cut out part of the tiny gift box. So we're going to score along the score lines first, just so those are all scored before we start doing this specialized cutting. And the reason we're going to be cutting from the box is we're going to want some light to shine through. And the nice thing about this little backer piece is that you can easily just use this piece to die cut any of these boxes to add a little light glow. So we're going to line up that piece right there. So it's kind of like the second rectangular shape from the top there of this piece. You're going to line up your backer piece there, run it through the die cut machine, and now you're going to have this rectangular shaped hole in the box. So you'll kind of see how that's going to form. Then the next thing we need to do at the bottom of the box is we need to create a hole for our light to go through. For this, you don't need anything fancy. We're just going to take a pair of scissors here, pierce a hole, and then you can just kind of cut around. You want to cut a pretty small hole because what you'll do then is you can just push your tea light candle through that. So we're using one of those electric tea lights. You'll see that in a second. And as you push that candle through, it's going to end up making it the exact right opening to hold that tea light in place. So see, we're going to push that through. And that's going to kind of widen the opening just enough so that that tea light stays nice and secure. Now we're going to remove the tea light for now so that we can start to work on forming the box. And this time we're going to do something a little different with the adhesive. We're going to add it to those same 4 tabs like we're used to, but we're also going to add it to the outer tabs. Normally you don't do that because you want the box to open and close so you can put treats inside, right? Well, in this case, we want the box to be permanently shut because this is more like a cute little candle decor piece. So we're going to add that 1/4-inch tape there on the outsides as well. And then just like before, we can peel up the liner paper and form the box. It's just going to be permanently closed this time. So we'll peel up the liner paper on all of the pieces, and then we're going to form the box exactly the same way. So we're going to line up those edges, and that box is going to form with all of those right angles. Then we can tuck the top in, and that's going to permanently close our box. Now we can add the jack-o'-lantern pieces onto the box. But before we do that, we're going to add some white gel pen lines. And the reason for this is because I wanted to make sure that you could really see the detail of the eyes and the mouth, even though we're not going to be able to put that black licorice cardstock on the back of the eyes and mouth. And so by adding those white gel pen lines, there's something about it that just kind of helps the eyes and mouth really pop and just gives it a nice little detail too. So we're going to add those white gel pen lines not only onto the face of the jack-o'-lantern, but to the side and back piece as well. The jack-o'-lantern face is going to be added to the side of the box that has this big opening. And because it would be a little bit hard to put adhesive on there, although you could use liquid glue too, we're going to use this 1/8-inch double-sided tape and just put that around the outside edges of that opening. And that's going to be a nice, secure stronghold for this little jack-o'-lantern face. And then we'll peel up the liner paper on all of those, and then we can layer the jack-o'-lantern face on top. And that is where that light is going to shine through eventually. Then for the back and side pieces, we can add those on just like we've done before with some tape runner, and we'll layer those onto the box. Now this time for the stem and the leaves and the vines, we're going to use all cilantro cardstock. And I may have said canned pumpkin earlier, but this jack-o'-lantern we actually did out of fake tan, and the one at the beginning we did out of canned pumpkin. And they're just two different shades of orange, and both look amazing. So for the little stem top, again, of course, we folded along all the score lines that the die created for us. We're going to add our liquid glue to those tabs, and then we're going to kind of wrap it around and form this little guy. And you'll see once you try it, it just kind of wraps around and forms. Once you just kind of curve it, you'll see exactly how all of the pieces are going to line up. And then we're going to hold that in place while it dries. And then we can add some liquid glue to the stem base and then layer that cute little three-dimensional stem on top. We'll layer the stem and the vines onto the top of the box, and then we're going to use a white gel pen to add some detail to the leaves just so that it kind of helps coordinate with all of the white gel pen detail we have going on the front and sides of the box. And then now all we need to do is take our cute little tea light. We're going to turn that on, and then we can just put it right into the bottom of the box, and that light is going to glow through the opening. And I mean, look at that. How cute is that? Oh, I just love it. Now, of course, we want to decorate the tea light, right? Although I think they have some of those tea lights that might be fun colors, you can always take some pattern paper and decorate it. So here, went ahead and measured the height of the tea light. You can measure whatever yours happens to be, and then just trim down a strip of pattern paper. We're going to wrap it around to see the exact length it needs to be. You'll see there that Rebecca's just using her fingernail as a guide, and then we're just going to snip that piece. And then all you need to do is just add some double-sided tape to this piece of pattern paper, and then you can wrap it around and create a beautiful decoration, kind of like a little tree stump that your jack-o'-lantern is sitting on. And now this cute little tea light decoration is all done. How much fun is that? I just love this little guy. So I love that you can use the tiny gift box for treats. I also love putting gift certificates inside, especially the ones that you print off online. I roll them kind of like in a little scroll and I'll put them inside. Or you can do something cool like this, like create your own cute little tea light paper jack-o'-lantern that's just so sweet. And look how much it glows with the lights off. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Now, this was an idea from Kara from the design team. Yainea also had a similar idea, but she put them on a string of lights, and she even die cut some of the bats from the full moon die. And I think this idea is so cute, and I can't wait to try it next. I love how many fun ideas there are with this cute little jack-o'-lantern. And speaking of fun ideas, next, Shari is going to create a card using this jack-o'-lantern without the box. So take it away, Shari.
So I am creating a card with the Tiny Gift Box Jack-O'-Lantern add-on. I've already cut out my pieces and we will come back to those here in a little bit. I'm going to start out with my background. This is a piece of Bristol cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm using the full moon die to cut the moon out of the center. This will allow me to inlay the moon back into the background, and I get that really fun stitching detail around the outside of the opening. So I'm going to start by inking my moon first using some Distress Oxide and squeezed lemonade. I want to keep this moon mostly white so it has that really bright glow to it. So I'm just inking the edges with this squeezed lemonade Distress Oxide. So we get that white in the center and then that glowing yellow on the outside. Now for the rest of the background and the sky, I'm using 3 different colors. I'm starting with Salvaged Patina. I'm using Distress Oxides for all of this inking, and I'm inking that Salvaged Patina, which is the lightest of my colors, around that opening. This is going to give it the look of a glow out from the moon. So I'm starting with my light and I'll work my way out to the darker. I'm creating more of a teal colored sky instead of a blue. I thought this was a really fun, kind of different look. So this next color is Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide. And I'm just coming in from the outside edges, going towards my light color in the center. Where they overlap, I'll go back and forth between my 2 blending tools till I get a nice blended edge between the 2 of them and not a harsh edge. And I'm just using this scrap piece of paper. This is where I tested out my yellow. I'm just using that as a way to hold my paper in place and not get any fingerprints onto my paper. So again, just pulling that peacock feathers in from the outside, and then where it meets that salvage patina, I'll just go back in with that tool and blend out between so I don't get a harsh line. Next, I'm pulling in some Uncharted Mariner. So this is a really pretty blue, but it does have a slightly bit of a teal tone to it, I think, and it goes really well with these colors that I've already picked out. So I'm just pulling that in on the corners and the sides, not pulling it too far. I want to still see some of that peacock feathers. But you can see how this starts to create a really cool glow look around that moon opening. And I'm not too concerned about the bottom. That's going to get covered up. But you can see how this is going to look. Now I wanted to add some metallic splatters to my sky. So I've pulled the moon back out of the opening and I'm just adding some white metallic splatters to the sky. I'm also going to add some black watercolor splatters. I just think that small black flecks of that watercolor paint on like a Halloween card with a spooky sky just looks really cool. So for this one, I'm going to flick it off my block to get some smaller splatters than my white. And like I said before, I'm not concerned about the bottom. That's going to get covered up with a piece of cardstock. That's going to be where my pumpkin patch is going to sit. So I'll just set that aside and let it dry once I have my splatters looking the way I want. And then for the pumpkin patch ground, I've got a piece of noble fir cardstock cut with a simple stitch hillside border. And I'm just adding some rustic wilderness distress oxide to the top to kind of make it darker since we're creating a night scene. Now that my background piece is dry, all my splatters are nice and dry, I can add this to a card base. And then I can add my moon to the center. And then my ground's going to go at the bottom and cover up the bottom part of that moon so that moon looks like it's rising up off the horizon line. I have one jack-o'-lantern that I've cut from some fake tan cardstock and then sunflower cardstock for the face. And then I'm taking the stem, which is 3D when you make the box, but I'm just using the score lines as a guide to trim it off to a flat stem for the top of my pumpkins. And I'll do the same for the two darker ones. These are cut from some canned pumpkin cardstock, which seems very appropriate. I wanted these to be a different color so that my jack-o'-lantern pumpkins stood out. These are going to get tucked behind the hill so that they can be lower but look like they're in the background. And then my jack-o'-lantern pumpkin will be in the foreground on the front of the hill. And I'm just going to use my grid mat to make sure I have these centered, which I did not. So I'm going to shift over that one on the left a little bit. But that is the beauty of some liquid glue. You have a little bit of time to kind of move things around and get their placement perfect. So that looks a lot better to me. And I'm adding some foam squares all over the back of this piece. And then I'll just line that up with the bottom of my card. So now we have this moon kind of rising up behind the pumpkin patch, which I think is a really fun look. I'm adding a thicker foam square to my jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, so he just pops up just a little bit more than the other ones. And then I have all the little tendrils and leaves I've cut from cilantro cardstock is the lighter color and noble fir is the darker, and I've just placed them around where I want them to go. So I'm adding one of each color to those pumpkins in the background and a leaf as well. This little leaf I'm going to add like it's growing out of the end of this vine. And I will add a couple more of those vines here at the end. Now, this is the little bat from the full moon dies. I've cut his background piece from storm cloud cardstock and then his body piece from some black licorice cardstock, and I've just layered those together. I'm going to add some foam squares to him, and then I'll place him up overlapping my moon. I didn't want to cover my moon too much. I really like that big glowing moon. Now, I did not put a sentiment on the front of this card. I like this scene just as it is. So I'm going to place my sentiment on the inside. And I am using the big Happy Halloween that's part of the Fantastic Friends stamp set. This one has open letters, and this is going to give me the opportunity to color them in. And I'm using black licorice ink to stamp my sentiment. I am going to be coloring this with colored pencils, so I don't need to worry about my ink being Copic friendly. If you were going to color this with Copic markers, because that's what you like to use, make sure you use a Copic friendly ink. And I'm coloring these in two tones, so I've got a yellow colored pencil and an orange. I'm going to do the yellow on the top and the orange on the bottom. I think this reminds me of candy corn. So I've just colored the tops of all the letters with my yellow. Then I'm going to come in and color the bottom with the orange. And then what I'll actually do is go back with the yellow and blend the two out. My orange, my tip was breaking, so that's why I keep trying to make it work without having to resharpen it. But I went back with the yellow and blended between the two, because you can kind of take that harsh line away and blend those colors together. And there is that fun, happy Halloween. Now, I did think that it was a fun idea to add, I have these really tiny wiggle eyes, and I just thought that this bat needed some wiggle eyes because I just think that is so cute. So these are really small. I think they're 3mm eyes, and I have these bling micro dots from Glue Dots, which are really tiny, but they're perfect for tiny things like this. And so I'm going to use those to stick my eyes down to my bat. And then I'm adding a couple more of those vines, cut them out of that cilantro, and I just thought this helped fill in that kind of solid dark piece at the bottom. If I had added some texture to it with some splatters, I might not have felt that way, but I felt like it was too solid, but these really helped. And here's my finished card. I love that sky and that moon. That cute little pumpkin is just adorable with that moon framing him in the background.
Oh my goodness, Shari, I am just in love with this card. It's so cute and sweet. I love that you use this die without the box, and I love that full moon in the background too. And next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And first up, this one by Maureen blew me away. I love that background that she created. Next, we have these adorable pattern paper pumpkins from Elena. I love that she did different shades of pattern paper and solid color cardstock and created the cutest little pumpkins I've ever seen. I love how Callie combined the pumpkin wagon die with this adorable jack-o'-lantern and with the giant trick-or-treat. This is such a cute card, and I just love her inked background. Here is this light-up jack-o'-lantern that inspired us to make ours today by Kara, and oh my goodness, look at the Copic marker coloring that she added onto the pumpkin. It just brings the whole thing to life, and it is so gorgeous. I love how Megan created a little stack of pumpkins at the bottom of her slimline card, and the giant trick-or-treat up top is just perfect. And then here is that string of lights that Yanea created. This is just so cute and clever. I love the googly eyes on the bats and the fact that you could have this beautiful string of lights up on your mantle for Halloween. Ah, so adorable. So we cannot wait to see what you guys create with this new jack-o'-lantern die, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!